Hi everybody, Debbie here from Easy Piano Styles, and today we're going to be doing a lesson on a left-hand technique that was used a lot during the ragtime stride period. Ragtime, you think of Scott Joplin or stride, maybe Jelly Roll Morton, Fats Waller. This is one of the basic bass techniques that's used. I'm going to show you three different ways of doing it. One is going to be very simple, and the next, if you want to get more advanced and you feel you can put the hands together, then you do the more advanced one, and then there's one that's quite advanced. So we'll start with the simple one, and this technique we start in the left hand. Remember, the bass line in the left hand is very important when you're playing this kind of stride style. And because it's providing the left hand, the bass note is providing the bass, of course, and you're also getting a sense of the meter, the movement, the pulse, and you're also getting the harmony, especially if you're doing the more advanced way, because you're adding a harmony chord on the second and the fourth beat. So we're going to demonstrate this all on a C chord. We start with the left hand playing the root of the chord, so that's a C on the first beat. On the second beat, the left hand's going to pop way up here to the 10th or the third of the chord up an octave. Okay, so we're up here, which would be an E, and then we jump down to the 5th on the third beat of the measure, which is a G, and then we go back up to the third, so it's this. So we get all parts of the chord, right? We get the root, the third, or the 10th, and the 5th. And that's squarely right on the beat. It's not in between, it's not syncopated at all. Now we're going to take a version of that a little more advanced, and we're going to go, instead of going up here, we're just going to play, this actually isn't all that much more difficult than what I just did. We're playing the root of the chord here, C, and then the two upper notes of the C chord, which are E and G, right? So right there, we don't have to move your hand much, and then we pop down to the 5th, and then we bring that back up. So it's the root of the chord, the 3rd and the 5th of the chord, and then the lower 5th down here, and we go back up to this. Most of the bass line in stride piano and ragtime piano is root to the 5th. Sometimes you go to the 3rd as a transition to the next chord, but most of the time it's root 5th or 5th root. Okay, so the first version we had was this. The second option is this. Okay, you ready for the more difficult one? That is, you play the root of the chord, and then you pop up here and play some inversion of the chord of a C chord. So we could play it like this, where we have the 3rd at the bottom, and the 5th and the root, or we could play it up here. So we could go like this, and then we play the 5th, and we go back to that chord. Whatever inversion you've chosen, whatever form of the chord that you're playing that you've chosen, just repeat that. Don't change that. It gets a little confusing. So you start with the root, and there's the C chord, and the 5th, and the C chord again, like that. So your left hand is really bouncing around. You got to know your chords for this, people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so if I were to put this in a song, I'm just going to do it very slowly for this little light of mine. That's the easy version. Now we're going to an F chord. Do that whole thing again with the next way of playing it, which would be I'll bring it up here so you can see it, and back to the C, and then the little more difficult moving up a notch would be, whoops, I had a little difficulty with that myself. So, you know, and then if you really want to get more difficult, you can add a full octave to the left hand, which is what Fats Waller did a lot of, which was instead of just playing bum, chick, he did the full octave of the C, like that. So your hand's really moving around. What you want to do is, of course, and I always say this, is to practice that left hand by itself. You really need to do that. And then you add the melody to it. And you're going to find, of course, that when you add the melody to it, that's a whole other ball game in terms of coordination with the left and the right hand. That's why the left hand needs to be totally secure and comfortable before you're adding the right hand, because usually the right hand melody has some syncopation to it, it's playing off the beat, and you need to be able to keep this is your foundation, right? It's providing the pulse, the bass, and the harmony. It's a lot that's happening down there. Okay, so there's another technique for you to use for the left hand. Have a great day.